Good morning. It's another day in the shop, or garage, as you will. There's a little hum going on. That's the air conditioner still because it is 90s outside. But I'm going to do some plasma cutting, so I'm going to make it hotter. And I thought I'd kind of just go over a little bit about what you need for plasma cutting. What we're going to be cutting today is this bad boy. It's a 1/4-inch wall, 4x2, I believe. And the reason I'm cutting it is my seat belts are too short in the 46 Ford. Now I could just go buy other seat belts, I guess. But as you know, this is a used parts build, and the seat belts that are in it are used racing harnesses. And I don't want to spend the money for another set because they do get rather expensive to get some good ones. And the thing with the racing harness seat belts is only good for a few years and then they expire, at least by racing standards. So then they have to be used for something different. They're great belts, they're heavy, they're safe, but they expire. So they get rid of them really cheap. I bought these at a swap meet. I think I paid $30 for a full 2-set 5-point harness, shoulders and everything. But the waists are too small. So I'm going to use this to raise up my bolt position 4 inches. 4-inch steel. I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom, a hole in the top. I'm going to bolt this to the floor where the current seat belt is, and then belt the seat belt on top. And that'll have 4 inches on each side for a total of 8-inch extensions. That should do it for most people. I can fit in the seat belts here. I even tighten them just a little bit, about 1 inch on each side. But anybody larger than me would have troubles. So by adding 4 inches on each side, it should be great. So we're going to use a plasma cutter because I tried. See? With my cutoff saw, and it just hasn't got the oomph to go through this. So I mean, that cut that you saw right there was probably 15 minutes of trying to push it through the steel, and it just doesn't do it. So what do we need for plasma cutting? Well, obviously you need a plasma cutter. So what I have, let me get you off there and I'll show you. This is what I have right here. It's a VersaCut plasma cutter by Eastwood. It's not a bad machine. It goes up to, I believe, it has a number on 40. So what is that? I don't know. 40 amps? I don't know. But I'll have to have it all the way up to cut through the 1/4-inch plate. It has a pressure gauge. Can we see it right there? And this is the adjuster. The knob has fallen off. I can still adjust it by the end of this piece right here. But that adjusts your airflow. You have to have a compressor with this because you need something to blow that arc, that plasma, and the slag it creates off the metal. So that's what the air is doing. It's got a ground lead, which is about 5 feet long, and it's got a cutting lead which is at least twice that long. That really baffles me because you need the ground where you're doing the cutting, so why isn't the ground the same length? Regardless, the machine works all right for everything up to about 1/4 inch. Anything beyond that, you need a more powerful machine, which is not, I mean, bad. You need an airline. That's that right there. That plugs into the back of the plasma machine. Then another nice thing to have is some sort of table that has slots in it. You've seen these on other shows where they're using the automatic tables. Well, this is just a small non-automatic table, and these slats will actually come out. So if I burn through one or make them too jagged on top, you just replace them. It's a 1/8 steel by 1 inch, and however large your table is. Fits in some slots. You don't have something in the way. All right. Got to have your ground clamp on your material or on your table if there isn't a lot of paint on your table. Your cutting head, looks like that. Now this has some consumables in it. The tip is replaceable. This ceramic piece is replaceable. This lasts longer than your tip. Your tip will burn out. You can see this one is getting a little burnt. Can you see that? Get it really close. Once the hole gets a little large or gets off to the side that's in the center of this, that arc will start wandering around, and you don't want that. This is a cutting tip. I don't know if you could see it, but there's an X cut through it. That way and that way. And what that does is it allows gases to escape when you're cutting. There's a gouging tip, which is just a straight little point. It's great for blowing out rivets and that kind of thing. You'll need something dark to wear on your eyeballs. I don't care what you wear. Protect your eyeballs, all right? You need gloves, 2 of them, not just one. There's 2. Raise your back up a little bit. A jacket would be a good idea. It blows sparks around, especially if you're not making it through the metal. Thin material, I don't worry about this because I know I'm going to blow right through it, even when I turn the plasma down. This stuff, we're going to have sparks flying everywhere. So I'll wear a jacket. You can wear a welding hood if you like. Just set it on a light setting. You only need about an 8 shade for plasma cutting. I've seen people do it without, and they say they're fine, but I wouldn't do that. Wear some sort of eye protection. Sparks fly everywhere. That's an 8 shade right there. These are about a 6. So just wear something good and dark and you'll be fine. Oh, you need a plug-in, of course. This machine will run on 110, you know, your normal outlet plug. When I ran it on 230 or 220, because it works so much better on that. If I'm running 110, I'm not cutting through anything thick. I'm cutting through 1/8 material at best. So through this 220 all the way up, air pressure set right now on the machine at about 70, which when I pull the trigger it gives me a 60-pound pressure flow. There, you can hear it. Now there's no arc, my finger's not on here, I just touched it. It would have arced a little bit if I'd had it on the metal, but it's just blowing the air, blowing that slag out of the way, cooling the tip. Because if you didn't have air cooling this tip, it'd melt right off. All right, I think that's about it. I use a guide when I'm cutting sometimes. That's what I'm going to be doing with this. Just going to be setting it on the metal, putting my plasma torch right against it like that. See that? Maybe I was holding up too high. And then I'll just run it straight along. That gives me a nice straight cut, keeps my tip a uniform distance off of the material. You can just drag it along. It does have those little slots for the gases to escape. But I found if you're dragging it, and you're dragging it a little bit slow, some of the slag that builds up right before the nozzle will hang up on your nozzle and you get stuck. And then you got to wiggle or pull and it makes a mess of your cut. So having a guide, this is 3/16, that is just a hair bigger than how far your nozzle sticks out is a real help. All right, I'm gonna get all my gear on and we're gonna cut this. It will be difficult, let me just say that before I start, because as you get near the edge, that is 2 inches thick. It's not going to cut through that. It's going to blow sparks everywhere. That's why I said we're going to have sparks flying everywhere. It will cut down a little bit, so then I'll rotate it, cut again, cut again, cut in. You get the idea. All right, I think I got you guys in close enough, but still protecting the camera from the sparks. I got my jacket on backwards because I don't need to protect my back and I'd like to stay cool. That air conditioner is probably humming away right in your backside there because it's behind you. Hope it keeps you cool. My guide. The tip's about 1/2 inch wide, so I needed a quarter. My guide needed to be about a 1/4 inch away from the line I want to cut. And I'm fogging up with my glasses. So I'm just going to set it right there, drag this across, and hope that I cut a hole. Now that did a pretty good job of cutting the hole. It also threw sparks all over my fingers. Holy cow. Whew. That's a nice straight cut there. I'm gonna cut all 4 of these and then I'll rotate it over. And I'm fogging up almost to the point where I can't see nothing. There we go. Thank you. Clear me out. All right, let's hope it doesn't throw quite that many sparks in my fingers this time. I had them inside the tube, and that's where the coarse cut is going. So that was warm. Well, that's wiggly. I'm gonna get a clamp. There, I like that. Good enough for who's it for. Here we go, sparks. Now we've talked about this before, that when the sparks are coming up instead of going down, for some reason, because you haven't burned all the way through, and that happened right here, so I need to make another pass before I move anything, right in that spot. Now that time, everything went down, so we know we're good. Let's see if I can get this clamp in there far enough to get one more cut out of it. That should work. Let's go for it here. And you'll notice right when I start, there's sparks going everywhere because it can't cut through the entire 2x4 steel. You can tip your blade or your torch and cut at angles, and sometimes tipping as you're drawing will help push the metal out where you need it, or preheat sometimes a little bit. But I found just going straight down seems to work the best. Hey, when you're doing anything that you're cutting or welding on, don't get your gloves wet. I mean, you might think that's going to cool them down, but the water transfers the heat so much faster than a dry glove. So if your glove is wet, that water will transfer that heat directly to your finger and it will burn you. Probably get a hammer and really beat on those. We'll try just beating on them. If I can't separate them that way, I'm going to put a hammer in here and break them apart. Or maybe put the plasma back on them. Try that. One off. That separated all. Ow. Time for the clamp. Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes the plasma actually, you know, when you come into another cut, you've already done melts the metal together. And that may be occurring here. You can see right here, the slag melted together. There's also a little bit right here. Sometimes we can break it apart. Sometimes we have to put the plasma torch back on it. I was going to do a He-Man thing. There we go, there's that one. Last one. Where is it hooked together? Right here and right there. Here we go. Let's run another pass on it. Just in these locations, actually where my lines didn't really line up very well, we're just going to take a quick little stab at it. Let's see if we can't clear out a little bit of that where it's holding together. before I move on to other things, I forgot to let you know something super important when you're plasma cutting. On a table such as this, where all the sparks can go through, wear some pants, long pants. I know you're wearing pants. Wear some long pants, wear some leather shoes. That's molten lava that's falling down there, and it will burn right through a normal pair of shoes. I actually had a piece burn right through my tennis shoe. It implanted itself in one of my toes, and there's a hole there to this day. So wear your safety gear. Hey guys, it's another day, but I just wanted to show you the finished product. And when I was plasma cutting out these pieces to make extensions for my seat belts, that's it. 4 inches tall, 2 inches wide. It's got a nut on both sides. This one will screw up through the floor. Then the seat belt will screw onto this. That's just the cheap, easy way for me to extend my seat belts 4 inches on each side with metal that I already had, that I had no use for currently. So I didn't spend a dime. Just easy way to get it done. And I painted them, so that's why it's the next day. I let the paint dry. And easy project. I thought maybe you'd want to see the seat belts and the extensions that we built and how they're actually mounted in there. But anyway, this is the seat belt setup in the truck. I really wanted to have shoulder harnesses here, and they did come with this used set of belts, but they're building a cage that fits behind this seat is going, you know, I've never really built a roll bar inside of a vehicle before. I know how it's supposed to be done, but there is almost zero room behind this seat. And this is just cardboard and it comes out pretty easy, but then there's braces back behind it. So there's really not a spot to run a bar up there without cutting out the braces and narrowing the seat. And it leans right back against the edge, so that seat has got to come up tight against the wall here. So doing a hoop in here and putting a shoulder belt bar across there, a harness bar, for me is going to be really difficult, and I'm not sure I'm ready to tackle that yet. But the lap belts are in, and the lower belts are in that they clip into. That's the only reason I put the lower belt in here, these belts, is because these clip into it. And the extensions is under here. Let's see if I can get this seat to go up. There we go. All right, let's see if we can look back here. Oh, one thing I don't know if you guys knew, but this is how you move your seat forward. You tilt the board forward, lay this back down. Can you see that? Yep. And that's how you move your seat forward. That's your total adjustment for the seat right there. And if we look down here, there you can see the stands that we made. They're 4 inches tall, and that is what's bolted to the floor and then bolted to the seat belt. So that's how we got our seat belts extended 4 more inches out. And I think it works pretty good. So thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, leave me a message. I check them every day. So we'll see you later. Upcoming videos.